Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is R.S. Raghu with the evening news. The headlines. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat resigns. BJP Legislative Party to meet tomorrow in Dehradun to elect new leader. Prime Minister inaugurates Maitri Setu connecting India and Bangladesh to boost connectivity and enhance economic opportunities for people of both countries. Filing of nomination papers for the first phase of assembly polls in Assam and West Bengal ends. Election Commission of India doubles the broadcast time for national parties and recognized state parties on Doordarshan and All India Radio. India crosses a landmark in COVID-19 vaccination, administers more than 20 lakh vaccines in a day across the country. Both the Houses of Parliament adjourned amidst noisy scenes by the opposition over fuel prices. Prime Minister Narendra Modi releases 11 volumes of Srimad Bhagavad Gita manuscripts. MEA summons British High Commissioner to convey its strong opposition over discussion in British Parliament on agricultural reforms in India. And in cricket, Ravichandran Ashwin declared Player of the Month by ICC. Indian women's team defeats South Africa by 9 wickets to level series by 1-1. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat today submitted his resignation to Governor Baby Rani Maurya. Governor accepted his resignation and asked him to remain the acting Chief Minister till the appointment of a new Chief Minister in the state. Addressing the media in Dehradun, CM Rawat said it is the collective decision of the party that someone else should take over the responsibility.
पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता को पार्टी ने इतना बड़ा सम्मान दिया और मुझे सेवा करने का मौका दिया। पार्टी ने विचार किया और संयुक्त रूप से ये निर्णय लिया कि मुझे अब किसी और को ये मौका देना चाहिए।
Our correspondent reports that the meeting of the BJP Legislative Party will be held tomorrow in Dehradun to elect a new leader of the Legislative Party in the presence of central observers. According to sources, Union Minister and former Chief Minister of the state, Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank, Rajya Sabha member Anil Baluni, and Minister of State Independent Charge, Dr. Dhan Singh Rawat, are in the race for the new Chief Minister.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today inaugurated Maitri Setu between India and Bangladesh through video conferencing. The Maitri Setu has been built over Feni River, which flows along the Indian boundary between Tripura and Bangladesh. The construction was taken up by the National Highways and Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited at a cost of 133 crore rupees. The 1.9 kilometers long bridge joins Sabroom in India with Ramgarh in Bangladesh. Prime Minister also launched infrastructure projects in Tripura. Speaking on the occasion, Prime Minister said the bridge will boost the connectivity between both the countries.
सबरूम और रामगढ़ के बीच सेतु से हमारी मैत्री भी मजबूत हुई है और भारत बांग्लादेश की समृद्धि का कनेक्शन भी जुड़ गया है। बीते कुछ वर्षों में भारत बांग्लादेश के बीच लैंड, रेल और वाटर कनेक्टिविटी के लिए जो समझौते जमीन पर उतरे हैं, इस सेतु से वो और मजबूत हुए हैं। इससे त्रिपुरा के साथ साथ दक्षिणी असम, मिजोरम, मणिपुर की बांग्लादेश और साउथ ईस्ट एशिया के दूसरे देशों से कनेक्टिविटी सशक्त होगी।
Prime Minister Modi said Maitri Setu will not only boost the production of various bamboo products but will also widen the pineapple and agarbatti business in Agartala. He said with the opening of Feni Bridge, Agartala will become the first Indian city closest to an international seaport. He said the friendship has been strengthened by this bridge and it will also strengthen economic activities in both countries. Prime Minister said this Setu will improve the connectivity in Bangladesh. He said it will also improve communication between the people of both the countries. Prime Minister Modi said that Tripura is experiencing the clear difference between 30 years of earlier governments and the double-engine government of the last 3 years. He said, in place of corruption and commission culture of earlier years, benefits are reaching directly in the accounts of the beneficiaries. He informed that in the past 6 years, the central government has taken care of every requirement for the development of Tripura. He said there has been a significant hike in the central allocation for the state.
सौभाग्य योजना के तहत त्रिपुरा में 100% बिजलीकरण हो, उज्ज्वला योजना के तहत 2.5 लाख से ज्यादा मुफ्त गैस कनेक्शन देना हो, या फिर 50,000 से ज्यादा गर्भवती महिलाओं को मातृ वंदना योजना का लाभ हो, दिल्ली की और त्रिपुरा की डबल इंजन की सरकार के ये काम त्रिपुरा की बहनों बेटियों को सशक्त करने में मदद कर रहे हैं.
The Prime Minister said Tripura's connectivity infrastructure has steadily improved over the past 3 years. A special package of 600 crore rupees given for the development of thousands of Bru refugees, which will bring a very positive change in their lives. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has said that Bangladesh is attaching priority to maximize the use of its geographical location to make it a connectivity hub between South and Southeast Asia. In her video message on the occasion of the inauguration of the Maitri Setu on Feni River connecting Sabroom in Tripura with Ramgarh in Bangladesh, Prime Minister Hasina expressed the hope that it will help Bangladesh trade more easily not only with India but also with Nepal and Bhutan. Calling the opening of the Maitri Setu as historic, Prime Minister Hasina said that it will not only create connectivity between the two countries but also play a significant role in business, trade and economic development.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi released 11 volumes of manuscript with commentaries by 21 scholars on shlokas of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in New Delhi today. The manuscript, published by Dharmarth Trust, is written with extraordinary variety and nuance of Indian calligraphy, ranging from Shankar Bhashya to Bhashanuvad. Speaking on the occasion, Prime Minister Modi said India is moving forward towards its path of development along with Gita's mantra. The Prime Minister said, Srimad Bhagavad Gita taught us how to serve the world and the people. He said when the COVID-19 struck, nobody was ready for such a pandemic, but India held its ground and helped the world with its 2 made-in-India vaccines. He said during the pandemic, India helped the world by providing them with assistance and also helped millions reach their home who were stuck abroad. He said today India is acknowledged across the world for its contributions to humanity. He said the country's democracy gives us freedom of thought, freedom of work, equal rights in every sphere of our life. He said Gita is for the whole world and has taught the world about selfless service. The Prime Minister mentioned that Gita is also a symbol of India's ideological independence and tolerance, which motivates every person to have his or her own viewpoint.
और मैं जब गीता को देखता हूं तो मेरे लिए ये उस विश्व रूप समान है जिसका दर्शन हमें 11वें अध्याय में होता है. मम देहे गुणाकेश यच्च अन्नत दृष्टमो इच्छसि, अर्थात मुझ में जो कुछ भी देखना चाहो देख सकते हो, हर विचार, हर शक्ति के दर्शन कर सकते हो. गीता के विश्व रूप ने महाभारत से लेकर आजादी की लड़ाई तक हर कालखंड में हमारे राष्ट्र का पथ प्रदर्शन किया है.
In Assam, the filing of nomination papers in the first phase of polls came to an end this evening. 47 seats will go to the polls in this phase on the 27th of this month. Senior BJP leader and Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal filed his nomination paper today for the Majuli seat. In 2016, Mr. Sonowal won the assembly polls at Majuli. More from our Guwahati correspondent.
Several heavyweight candidates from various political parties have filed nomination in the first phase in Assam. State Congress President Ripun Bora, former leader of the opposition in Assembly Debabrata Saikia, and former Minister Rakibul Hussain submitted nomination papers. For the ruling BJP, along with Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal, Speaker of the Assembly Hitendranath Goswami, Senior Ministers Ranjit Datta and Jogen Mohan are in the fray. President of Akham Gana Parishad, Atul Bora, and Executive President Keshav Mahanta would also try to re-elect in his phase. Along with them, President of Akham Jatiya Parishad, Lurin Jyoti Gogoi, and Chief of Raizor Dal, Okhil Gogoi, are also vying in the first phase. Manas Pratim Sharma, AR News, Guwahati.
In West Bengal, filing of nominations for the first phase of polling ended today. In this phase, 30 assembly constituencies across 5 districts will go to the polls on the 27th of this month. 111 nominations have been filed so far for the first phase. Scrutiny will be done tomorrow. The last date for withdrawal of candidature is on the 12th of March. Elections in the state will be held in 8 phases from the 27th of March to the 29th of April. Counting will take place on the 2nd of May. The regional news unit of All India Radio Guwahati will hold a series of phone-in talk shows beginning tonight on voters' awareness ahead of the assembly polls. The officials of the CEO office will take part in the talk shows on multiple issues. The program will go on air from 9:30 to 10:30 tonight, then on the 16th, 23rd, 25th and 30th of this month, and on the 3rd of April. The Directorate of Information and Public Relation will also broadcast the talk shows through fixed loudspeaker systems.
In Kerala, the seat-sharing talks within various fronts are nearing conclusion ahead of the assembly polls. CPI-M candidate list has been finalized. The list may be published tomorrow after getting approval of the party Politburo. CPI today declared candidates for 21 seats. Party State Secretary Kanam Rajendran said that the list of candidates in 4 seats will be declared within 2 days. Discussions are at final stage in UDF. Senior leaders headed to New Delhi to attend the screening committee meeting regarding candidate selection. The list will be declared after getting assent of party high command. BJP State President K. Surendran said that the list of candidates will be published after party electoral committee meeting scheduled to be held at Thrissur day after tomorrow. The list will be published by the central leadership. The Election Commission of India has decided to double the broadcast time allotted to each national party and recognized state party on Doordarshan and All India Radio in poll-bound states of Assam, Kerala, Puducherry, Tamil Nadu and West Bengal 2021. The Commission took the decision in consultation with Prasar Bharati Corporation considering the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and enhanced relevance of non-contact based campaign. The Commission in its order has said that the broadcast time will be available only to the national parties and recognized state parties. A base time of 90 minutes will be given to the political parties uniformly on the regional kendras of Doordarshan and All India Radio networks. However, in a single session of broadcast, no party will be allocated more than 30 minutes. The Commission said that the period of broadcast and telecast will be between the date of publication of list of contesting candidates for the elections and 2 days before the date of polls. The poll panel has said that the parties will be required to submit transcript and recording in advance. The telecast and broadcast will not permit criticism of other countries, attack on religions or communities, and anything obscene or defamatory or incitement of violence.
India has crossed a landmark in COVID-19 vaccination as more than 20 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered across the country in the last 24 hours. Union Health Ministry said the cumulative number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country has crossed 2 crore 30 lakh today. The ministry said more than 43 lakh 74,000 beneficiaries aged more than 60 years and over 7 lakh beneficiaries aged more than 45 years with specific comorbidities were vaccinated till date. Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla summoned the British High Commissioner and conveyed strong opposition to the unwarranted and tendentious discussion on agricultural reforms in India in the British Parliament. Foreign Secretary Mr. Shringla made it clear that this represented a gross interference in the politics of another democratic country. He advised that British MPs should refrain from practicing vote bank politics by misrepresenting events, especially in relation to another fellow democracy.
The issue of high fuel prices marred the proceedings of both the Houses of Parliament for the second consecutive day today. Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha witnessed 2 adjournments in the pre-lunch session before being adjourned for the day at 2 p.m. Earlier, members from Congress, Left, DMK, NCP, Shiv Sena and others raised slogans against the price rise demanding discussion over the issue. Speaker Om Birla repeatedly urged the agitating members to go back to their seats and allow the House to take up question hour. He told the members that question hour is very important as members raise problems faced by people in their constituencies. Amid noisy scenes, he tried to run the question hour, but the sloganeering by opposition members continued. Earlier, the House was first adjourned till 12 noon and thereafter till 2 p.m. The Rajya Sabha also witnessed similar incidents. Congress members created ruckus in the House by raising slogans against the price rise. Deputy Chairman Harivansh tried to take up the question hour and asked the members to go back to their seats. As the din continued, the upper house was adjourned initially till 12 noon and thereafter till 2 p.m. When the upper house reassembled at 2 p.m., Leader of Opposition Mallika Arjun Kharge reiterated the demand to discuss the issue. Opposition parties had given notices for taking up urgent discussion over the issue but were disallowed.
All India Radio News is honouring women achievers from diverse fields by bringing their stories as part of the celebration of International Women's Day. Today we bring you the story of achievers in the field of medicine. Department of Gynecology, AIIMS, was the first in the country to deliver the baby of a COVID-positive woman. The delivery happened on the 2nd of April. Talking to All India Radio News, Dr. Aparna Sharma, Professor, Department of Gynecology, AIIMS, says the human spirit has guided everyone to work during the health crisis.
Safety of our own staff at the same time. So there was a lot of effort that actually went into reorganizing the care. But the question was never that why. The question was always how. How to make it better, how to make it safer. Our department was the first one to deliver the first COVID-positive pregnant women in the country. And throughout this last 1 year, things have changed so much, but I think it's just the human spirit that we just kind of adjust to change, whatever is the extreme situation.
Dr. Sharma says the pandemic has brought behavioral change in the people. Now everybody follows the hand hygiene diligently. She adds that India is conducting an amazing vaccination drive. When the pandemic hit, the National Institute of Virology played a very significant role, not just in testing, but in developing the vaccine as well. The institute is headed by Dr. Priya Abraham. NIV developed the first antibody testing kit for COVID. Talking to All India Radio News, Director, National Institute of Virology, Dr. Priya said the indigenous COVID-19 vaccine is safe.
It is true that vaccines have been licensed for use in a very, very short span of time compared to earlier vaccines. But for a vaccine to actually be approved by a licensing agency in any country, including ours, it has to first go through preclinical trials. That means it first goes through a series of animal models and see whether, one, the first concern is any vaccine safe. The second is how efficient its efficacy. Is it able to prevent illness? So that has been done in animals, and then only we came to human beings, and even that goes through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the evening news. Now here is a review of proceedings in Parliament today. First from the Lok Sabha. The writer is Kumar Rakesh of PTI. The Lok Sabha has failed to transact any legislative business for the second day today, with the opposition stalling the proceedings amid din over the hike in prices of petroleum products. Today is the second day of the second phase of the budget session. After two adjournments due to disruptions caused by opposition members, mainly from the Congress, who were protesting against the rise in fuel prices, the House was adjourned for the day a little after 2 p.m. During question hour at around 11 a.m., Speaker Om Birla had to adjourn the House till 12 noon following protests over the rising fuel prices. During the question hour, opposition members, mainly from the Congress, entered the well of the House and started raising slogans. Proceedings were adjourned for the second time till 2 p.m. over the same issue. When the House reassembled at noon, various papers and reports were laid amid continued protests. Several Congress members were in the well demanding a rollback of the fuel price hikes. DMK members were seen standing at their seats, while Trinamool Congress members did not protest. As the protests continued, Meenakshi Lekhi, who was in the chair, adjourned the proceedings till 2 p.m. When the House reconvened at 2 p.m., several opposition members raised the same issue. As the noisy protests continued, Rajendra Agarwal, who was chairing the proceedings, adjourned the proceedings for the day. Attacking Rahul Gandhi over his comments on creating a separate ministry for fisheries, Union Minister Giriraj Singh, Minister of Animal Husbandry, Dairying and Fisheries, said the Congress leader should be sent to school so that he knows what ministries and departments exist under the central government. Hitting out at the opposition, especially the Congress, Mr. Singh said from 1947 to 2014, those who ruled for generation after generation gave only 3,682 crore rupees through central allocation for fisheries, whereas the Narendra Modi government has invested 32,000 crore rupees since 2014. The minister said he has been hurt because of the comments by Rahul Gandhi. On the 2nd of February, Mr. Singh said in the House, Mr. Gandhi had an unstart question about the ministry, but after going to Puducherry and Kochi, he said there is no fisheries department, and if the Congress comes to power, the centre will have a separate ministry for fisheries. Last month, Mr. Gandhi had talked about the need for a separate fisheries ministry.
And now review of proceedings in Rajya Sabha. The writer is Sanjeev Chopra of PTI. The Rajya Sabha has failed to transact any business for the second day today after opposition members led by the Congress created uproar over rising prices of petroleum products. The House was adjourned twice in the pre-lunch period, first around 11:20 a.m. and then a few minutes after noon. When the House met at 2 p.m., Deputy Chairman Harivansh urged the protesting members to allow the proceedings to continue, but the unrelenting opposition members trooped into the well and raised slogans, forcing its adjournment finally for the day. Today was the first time after almost a year that the House resumed its normal timings from 11 a.m. The House was functioning from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. during the first part of the current session due to COVID-19 restrictions. All the members were now seated in the Rajya Sabha chamber and galleries, with the Deputy Chairman announcing that 142 seats have been made available for members in the Rajya Sabha chamber and the remaining will be seated in the 4 galleries. Earlier, the members also sat in the Lok Sabha chamber due to strict social distancing norms. The Deputy Chairman said 4 notices under Rule 267 for suspension of rules and taking up discussion on issue of increase in prices of petrol and diesel in the country have been received from Leader of Opposition Mallikarjun Kharge, Satish Chandra Misra of BSP, Tiruchi Siva of DMK and Priyanka Chaturvedi of Shiv Sena. He said, since the Chairman has disallowed a similar notice on Monday, his ruling cannot be reopened. This led to uproar with the opposition members trooping into the well raising slogans. The House could not transact any business and only 2 questions could be taken up, but the replies remained inaudible in the din. The situation was the same when the House reassembled at 2 p.m. as the opposition members continued to demand a discussion on rise in fuel prices. The Deputy Chairman appealed to the protesting members, including those in well, to return to their seats. He said, the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill 2021 should be taken up as it sought to replace the ordinance. But the unrelenting opposition members continued with their protests. Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad also insisted on taking up the bill, saying its passage is essential. The Deputy Chairman called Vivek Tankha of the Congress to speak on the bill. Mr. Tankha said, how can he speak when the Leader of Opposition was standing? Mr. Kharge said he was not questioning the Chairman's decision on Monday, but urged him to consider the fresh notices for a discussion on fuel prices given today. He also demanded that the rates be brought back to the 2013-14 levels. The Congress leader said the entire country is suffering due to the price hike of petroleum products and essential commodities and urged the chair to allow a discussion. Mr. Harivansh said he cannot reopen it since the chairman has already disallowed the notice. He then asked Manoj Jha of the RJD to speak on the bill, who said the House was not in order. Congress Deputy Leader Anand Sharma said, according to the tradition of the House, no government bill is taken up amid the din. He insisted that the opposition has the right to take up the issue. He said, it is unfortunate that norms are being violated repeatedly by the government. He said the government should not try to introduce new business without settling the question raised by the opposition. Amid the uproar, the deputy chairman adjourned the House for the day. Earlier, Congress members joined by other opposition parties trooped to the well and persisted with their demand for a discussion even after the chairman disallowing the notice by Mr. Kharge. When the House met at noon, the deputy chairman urged the protesting members to take their seats and allow the question hour to go on. The opposition members, however, continued to protest and raised slogans against the government. The deputy chairman continued with the question hour but adjourned the House till 2 p.m. after the protesting members raised their pitch. Soon after the tabling of papers and committee reports in the morning, members belonging to Congress, DMK, left parties, BSP and Shiv Sena were on their feet seeking the suspension of the business to take up a discussion on the fuel price hikes. Bhupendra Yadav of BJP countered the opposition, saying that the ruling of the chairman is final and the notices cannot be reopened. That's all in Parliament Review.
On to sports. India's premier off-spinner Ravichandran Ashwin was named the ICC Men's Player today for the month of February for his stellar show against England in a 4-match test series at home, which India won to qualify for the World Test Championship final. England's Tammy Beaumont was adjudged the Women's Player of the Month. Ashwin, who played in 3 tests in the 4-match series, scored 106 in the second innings of India's second test victory over England at Chennai and took his 400th test wicket in the third test victory at Ahmedabad. The Indian women's cricket team today registered a comprehensive 9-wicket victory over South Africa in the second ODI in Lucknow to level the 5-match series 1-1. Tracing the victory target of 158 runs set by South Africa, the Indian team easily scored 160 for 1 in just 28.4 overs. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi is likely to have mist. Temperature will hover between 19 and 31 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have a mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature will be 21 while the maximum is expected to be around 36 degrees. Chennai is expected to have a partly cloudy sky. The temperature will vary between 25 and 33 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will also have a partly cloudy sky. The city will observe minimum temperature of 24 degrees, maximum of around 34. Srinagar will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Temperature will hover between 5 and 12 degrees Celsius. Jammu will have a partly cloudy sky becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. The minimum temperature will be 16 degrees. While the maximum will be around 27, Leh is expected to have a partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature will be around -5 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 8 degrees. Gilgit will have a partly cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between 8 and 20 degrees. Muzaffarabad will have a partly cloudy sky becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. The minimum temperature will be 9, maximum will be 23. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat resigns. BJP Legislative Party to meet tomorrow in Dehradun to elect new leader. Prime Minister inaugurates Maitri Setu connecting India and Bangladesh to boost connectivity and enhance economic opportunities for people of both the countries. Filing of nomination papers for the first phase of assembly polls in Assam and West Bengal ends. Election Commission of India doubles the broadcast time for national parties and recognized state parties on Doordarshan and All India Radio. India crosses a landmark in COVID-19 vaccination, administers more than 20 lakh vaccines in a day across the country. Both houses of parliament adjourned amidst noisy scenes by the opposition over fuel prices. Prime Minister Narendra Modi releases 11 volumes of Srimad Bhagavad Gita manuscripts. MEA summons British High Commissioner to convey its strong opposition over discussion in British Parliament on agricultural reforms in India. And in cricket, Ravichandran Ashwin declared Player of the Month by ICC, and Indian women's team defeats South Africa by 9 wickets to level series by 1-1. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.